was a train wreck.
Speaking of train wrecks.
Yeah, they are making their train wreck right now for us there, Dennis.
There's been a lot of those lately.
The volcano is going off. 8:29. The volcano erupted. Bye-bye-bye.
Yeah, good evening there, Mr. Ed.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Bel Air.
Think we're gonna...
All right, take care, 495, catch you later, man. What's fun? I got around. Hey, 495, 442, say fun, but I got around. Take care, 495, have a good weekend, 495. Sorry, take it, no OTR?
Yeah, actually, we are here. The skip is going. Let me go ahead and take some early check-ins here. I was actually able to sit down. So, Joe, I got you as 24 over.
Thanks, sir. You have a good night.
Mad Max, 80. What we got?
Dennis, go ahead and check in 650.
Oh, condition 495.
Okay, I'll get to 650 as well.
Hello, Joe.
7723 is going to put you on that check-in list.
977, smoking
99, we still in there. 99, 899. Get your let out, the babe killer got down. Bye-bye-bye.
82301. 82301, walkie-talkie, 494, walkie-talkie, 494, Lulu, watch out for the beam, watch out.
I'll play the theme song, but nobody will be able to hear it. But just see what happens.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Yes, indeed. The old Tube Radio Network, the old tired Tube Radio Network. And I don't even know if all the lights are on. I had to run in here. We had a computer crash. Something is missing. I see it over there. So, and I just came out of makeup. So they didn't even have time to do my hair up tonight. But this is radio. So it doesn't matter. I will get the other light turned on, but let me see if there's other stations that need to get checked in on the SWL side through all the skip. Hello, radio. Man, the bands weren't even that good today, and 11 meters is sounding pretty nice.
You can't hear me, can you, Dennis? Dennis, if you can hear me.
Yes, 53, we got you, Mr. Bel Air.
Hey, thank you. Happy Easter there, Dennis. Take care. 73's up back quiet.
All right, and we got, who did we get earlier? We've got 53 right now. And then we've got 24 and 650, and I also heard Chris in there. And let me put on the screen that I will be right back, and we will get started. It is the 00 item of interest as well, so we're going to do that.
Loretta laying down. Put it there. The gray big old map. He's right back. Come on.
Some of the skip kind of still waiting on some, but we still can make some cues for them. 1333, one more time around.
495, you might not hear me now, man. I'm busy with numbers. You might not hear me now. It was how much going to be on. Walkie-talkie right there. Come on. I see like that little move that. Okay. Somebody called in a walkie-talkie. I'm going to try to put it in the radio. Walkie. Oh. Hey, about 5, radio cut off, radio cut off, radio cut off. You tell 977
Don't you love it when the locals are drowned out by Skip from 1,000, 2,000 miles away? But that's how it happens sometimes.
Part of Miss Deagle, one waving, hello. No Rogers with that Washington, no Rogers, Washington.
Hawaii was wiping out the legend. I mean, come on.
That's just wrong. Let me get the... Do we have the... Yes, we have the 00. This is the new 8-week period, so I wanted to see... to find out who is going to be our new 00. Thanks to... It was Dwayne for the last 8 weeks, who actually did check in live and direct one time all the way from Idaho. So what's in there? It smells good. What is it? Oh, almonds. Who ate the almonds and put in the little items here? All right, I do believe I have one, and that one is 195, who I'm sure is not hearing me. SWO 195, Jim up in Corscold, who is he is an expert at being 00. So at some point, he will hear me and know that's what he has to do. He's at the end of the roll call, so that may work out well. Speaking of roll call, let's do that.
Radio check, breaker, radio check from Fresno, checking in. Alex.
And we're hearing you in Fresno. They're hearing you in Hawaii, Australia, New Zealand, and parts beyond tonight as the gray line. Where is the DX map as the gray line moves down? Did that come back after the crash? Sometimes I can get the gray line map in there, and sometimes I can't. It looks like... Oh, there it is. But you know what? It doesn't show... It doesn't show the gray line. The one that does is this one right here. So let me pull that up. If you're watching the video, there is what's called the gray line, the dark area where the sun is setting, and the lighter area where it's about to set. You can see it's across the west coast and heading up towards Alaska. Out there at Hawaii is certainly not set, and that's why we're hearing the sounds that we are hearing on the old Tuber Radio Network.
495, let me ease this grade, begin to out the way.
No, I said hello. Bye-bye.
Have to get back to my regular screen. Let's try. We'll go down the list here. If you can't hear me, which you probably can't, you can always come back anytime during the net to check in. Not a problem there. So we've got to check in for... we'll probably get a 00 at the end of the item here. SWL number 1, Mr. Dr. J, listening in virtually and saying, it isn't this hard to do the Tube Radio Network. SWL number 2, Mr. OBP, who is over at the video chat, which there is. oldtuberadio.net has the audio. Your radio on channel 11 has the sound, and maybe you're adding some pictures to it. So Mr. OBP is checking in right now. Hope you're having a good day. And we look forward to hearing you or maybe getting you on the air soon. An antenna of some sort, whether it's, well, I don't know, clandestine or whatever, right?
495, the grade, big antenna, bye-bye. Okay, we got conditions for that.
I'm just listening to see what it sounds like around here. A big signal. So if you're in Hawaii, maybe you can check in. Maybe you can say hello radio. We've got a proxy check in for SWL3, Mr. Lone Eagle, over to SWL5. That's Levon, Mr. Rainmaker. And he is in there saying Happy Easter from the Big Apple out there near Hudson Valley. Thanks, Levon. I know this guy's around, and he can probably hear me through the skip, SWL7.
SWL7 checking in. Yes, you're coming in over all the skip.
All right, that's the nicety of being a mile away. That means I only get blocked out occasionally when the 30 over signals come on. Thanks.
Shot, there you are.
Thank you.
Hey, big shot, breaker.
I must say, some of the stations are actually getting really nice audio on the DX these days. You know, some of those things that aren't out to channel 14 and down to channel 7. Some good audio. So nice that they can do that. I'm going to call for SWL 10, and I don't think, and I haven't scrolled up the screen yet, but I don't think I've seen Chrissy and Dwayne in just yet. But I will keep an eye out when they are around. Plus, I'll get anybody who needs to check in early by checking the chart.
Check it out.
I'm hearing noise. I thought maybe it was the window in back, but it's we've got the windows closed. A little bit of breeze tonight. SWL 11 and 12. As always, cornbread, and someone did say Fresno in passing, and then they just passed right through it. That's what happens sometimes. And SWL number 12, Mr. Dapper Dan, who is indeed on the list of Dapper, way more than net control tonight. I just made it out of makeup. We didn't get the hair done. But I am here because the net must go on. We're going to be checking in some of those classic tube radios from 1958 to 1978 that if you look inside, you will see the glowing tubes. Feel the heat coming out of the top. That is what we are doing tonight, and Dapper Dan is along with us to make sure that that happens. We got you checked in. oldtuberadio.net. I'll refresh the comments. We'll check anybody out there that would like to get checked in. I'll get a proxy check-in for Mr. Cobra, but I think Mike will be in shortly. Out in Sanger, Sean, if you can sneak in between the skip, please do so, but don't go away and check in when conditions are a little better, because I know you're out there.
562, 560.
SWL 16 from Anoka, Minnesota, by way of wherever it might be. And that is, of course, Mr. Charles is checking in with us tonight. And I know, it was hectic. He was helping me. Oh, how nice. Okay, I don't think I should do this, but... Oh, wow, that's heavy. What is this? He got me a plate of food from the barbecue. What are they doing out there tonight? This is nice. Well, I don't know if I should get in there, but I'm hungry. I mean... We were running around here trying to get the show going. The net. Nice. All right. Thanks. That's at the barbecue. Anybody in the green room tonight, that's really good. Go out and get whatever you need. There's potatoes and some carrots and some other stuff. Good deal. All right. Got you checked in.
99.
They take care of me here because they know I can't do it on my own. Let's go to SWL 17.
30.
Now, I apologize for chewing in your ear, but it's good. I don't even know if I got lunch today. This is a good thing. SWL 18. SWL 19. Chet is on the cue cards tonight. And he's going, wait a minute. Okay. He said, check your... All right. Is that good? That's nice. All right. Thanks for checking in all the way from Derby, New York. I don't know how you guys... He said he's got a boom shadow. All right, let's pull that down. But can you hear me on the radio? That's the most important thing. 19 is in. Let's go over to SWL 20.
Number 20 here. Hopefully you can hear me. Please check me in. Also 2954, and for tonight, hopefully only tonight, number 56, just for kicks.
Okay, we'll do it. Boy, you have been busy gathering the numbers, so I will get all those proxied in, and if I forget, you can always let me know. You are coming through the skip quite nicely, so be no problem at checking in some radios. You're sounding good.
Roger, I'll have a radio of interest. This one, thank you.
All right, it is of much interest. Got you checked in. Also a check-in for 21. of fame from that old radio night that was on hiatus tonight so that Mr. JT could spend the holiday with family. I know he might be out there sneaking to listen to the old Tube Radio Network. So look for we got the 21 up there? Yeah, 21 is in, and we will look for you next week from the Wasama Swamps on Old Radio Night.
My father's high.
Where the sun has not set yet, SWL 22, AK 295, Tyler, seeing if he is checking in tonight. Who's on the list? Kerman, unknown SWLs, Dallas, Georgia. We begin to you, Shinston, West Virginia, Woodland Park, Colorado, with the beams. That's the problem when with Colorado, you got to point the beams west. So if you were to hear OTR, you're also hearing everything else coming in from Hawaii and whatever. So yeah, it makes it a bit rough. Inez, Kentucky, Belfast, Maine, of course, and look at who's in the special seat tonight. In the special seat tonight, Hans, we've been trying to get you those tickets, and the mail is slow from here to over there. So he's right up in front. I will try not to spill anything on you tonight, but it's good to see you in tonight, and we will get you checked in. Let's go over to SWL 23. SWL 24 checked in moments ago. SWL 25. SWL 27. And the crossband is up. Hear that noise? That is just vibration on the table. Crossband is up. The Echo link is up. We'll be checking that out in a little bit. Also tonight, if possible, we've got the satellite relay links up. Jimmy's going to be trying to get to us from Chicago tonight. We might hear the Squamish boys. We'll see what we can do on the links, and they will be on their radios checking in. We'll actually hear their radios coming through. So if we can get that linked up, we will give it a shot. SWL 28. Gary, we don't have any link ups to Sacramento. That's going to be one of those when we get the sporadic educting. Gary will be trying to check in over the air. As does Sam. Sam's going to get, 38's going to get the relay like he did last week from Hawaii, so we'll be listening in for that. Got the check-in for 29 and looking for SWL 30. And Hans says, thanks for the tickets. Our pleasure. It's just, I wish we could have got them to you sooner. And yeah, be sure to pick up some of the tasty food from over in the barbecue. Actually, they'll probably bring you a plate. I'm going to take one more. I'm going to take one more bite there. That's good. If you're going to be rude, you might as well do it. Okay, let's go to SWL 31. SWL 32. Shortwave listener 33, myself, everyone here. Bozo Control honking the proverbial proboscis. Having trouble unkeying. I'm using the J38 key, and it's got caught up in some cords here, which is not a good thing. That is not an ergonomically correct thing to have your CW key amidst all the audio cables here.
Blue Dolphin, it's 85, Shockwave. Hello there, RC.
And Gary says he's up above. Okay. It's okay. It's okay to be in the balcony. I mean, that's the nice thing. You can be, what do they call it, mobile, agile around the QTH here tonight at OTR Control. SWL 34. I'm getting Jimmy checked in. He's going to try and join us tonight, like I said, on the air, on his radio. We will be listening in for his radio if he can make it into the air chair tonight. And Gary, is that where it is? Gary says the ham is in the green room fridge. And with all the fixings and colored eggs. And did you get the ham early? Well, they gave me some food tonight because I was running around here. We'll see what Bob and Steve have in store. I know there's a lot of activity here through the school's out, school's out for spring break, so there's a lot of things going on. Let's go to SWL 35. That is Mr. Bill. 28 minutes ago or so, checking in from beautiful Cheyenne. Mr. Bill of Red Monkey fame, Red Monkey Communications fame, I should say, still out and about. Look for the communications trailer. And Bill and the Red Monkey crew here in Fresno for many, many, many years, serving the mobile community, a lot of truck drivers, keeping them on the air, and as important, keeping a lot of our radios on the air, our tube radios. So miss you, Bill, but I'm glad you get a chance to check in with the gang here on Saturday evening. Let's go to SWL 36. SWL 37, hello, Chris, over.
And hello, Dennis. SWL 37 checking that. Thought I'd get on a good radio station.
All right, yeah, no, I hear you. You're coming through just fine from all the cacophony that is known as 11 meters skip land, over.
Well, wasn't it like this last weekend or was it the weekend before?
It's been like this pretty much all the last couple of weeks.
Get a hold of the other ones while you can. We're listening. My radio. Oh, you have a We're out listening, Dennis.
All right, very good. Got you checked in, 37. And Jimmy, I see you. So stand by. I'm checking the uplink. And the uplink is showing that it is all pages busy on the uplink. So it's going to take me a little while to get the receiver up and running. So keep an ear out, and we'll give it a try here. So that's interesting. It must be busy, a busy Saturday night over there. So when there is some room on the uplink, I will get back to you. But it looks like I checked it out earlier, and it was looking good. I wasn't even hearing Skipland on it. Sam, I will check you in now, but we will be listening for the relay, the 2,000-mile relay from the Big Island, as it were, from Byron to Hilo to Fresno, over. Who else is there? Let me go back to the page and get everything set up. 37 is in. 38 is in. SWL 39. Going to be hard to hear Dan out in the haystack. SWL 40. SWL 41. Road Dog 507 checking in, of course, from the Tri-County React. And all stations beyond, of course, Hudson Valley of New York. A lot of stations from different time zones listening in, staying up late, staying up into the wee hours of Saturday, Sunday morning. Some of you, like Hans, checking in early Sunday morning and joining us here on the west coast of California for the unveiling of those tube radios from the classic CB days. Many of you still running them, and we can hear some of them, I guess, keying up, or is it keying down as the skip runs through. Thanks for joining us, 41. Let's go to SWL 42. SWL 43 checked in via proxy. SWL 44 getting 360 checked in. He was really loud last night on the Ditchbanks sideband at SWL 45.
Now it doesn't matter.
And I will get Paul checked in because I know the noise up on the hill is making things rough. As it gets a little bit quieter, we'll get you all checked in. SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47.
Now with no shame in my game, bye.
SWL 47. I don't know, Mike was talking about doing some remote mobile stuff. So if he's up in an elevated position, he's going to be hearing the skip even more than we are. So as that dies out, I'm possibly expecting some remote operation up there. That should be exciting. So we're listening for that. SWL 48.
Bye-bye.
SWL 49.
Walkie-talkie, Honolulu, clear.
SWL 40. I see a 785. We get 40 checked in from down there in the subterranean where, you know, you put out the submarine antenna along the berm and hear us, but not all that, Skip. Also want to say hello to those who are joining us. Foxman 362. Hello to you, K. Christopher. Antioch, Illinois, jumping in here, where I'm sure you're not getting the skip. You can hear the skip coming through here as the sun is still up. Big Rich 6520 stepping away from his studio to say hello radio to the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Thanks for that. Van Man is in. I knew you were. We'll be coming up to 52 shortly. 007 Extreme CB said you've got some rumble in that audio. You know what it is? It's the condenser mic picking up a little bit of rumble. I closed the window because it will also pick up wind noise. I'm thinking, and I mentioned this before, I should change to the Heil PR40 on Saturdays just so we don't have all that wackiness. See, I have to be perfectly still, and then it'll go away. Mark S., thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight through all the skip. Phil, I see a 79, and we will be getting you checked in, no problem. Craig is in there. Jay-Z says Chuckles and Vinegar may need an East spin tonight. I'm thinking those two tragic Fresno clowns had something to do with all of this. That's why I try and keep the door closed, but we don't do that around here. Dennis, I see we'll get you checked in for 96. Dwayne is in. All right, I missed you guys. 10 and 30. Let me get you checked in right now. And Dwayne, if I didn't mention it, thanks for being in our 00 the last 8 weeks. Your number was in the drawing, but we pulled out the guy up in Course Gold, 195. So you get to have the evening off for next couple of weeks or so, at least for being in the air chair at the beginning.
Go around. Catch a little fireball. Easy, great big antenna out the way. Fireballs.
Can you see that S meter? That's almost, what, 10 over? And I still... Oh, I know it. I know what I know. I've got a fan on. I got to turn the fan off in the back. That's what it is. We've got a fan blowing through the racks. And that is what's creating the low-frequency rumble. We've got some good people out there listening in on their hi-fi radios. Let me know if the audio is good. So I know what it is. I know what's causing the... and it is the wind, because I had shielded the microphone from the other side, and now I know why. You can only shield it from so far. Let's continue the roll call, or we will never get to the radios. SWL 50. Out in Sanger, SWL 51. Dave, if you can hear me, I will get you checked in, but always come back by when it gets quiet and say hello radio.
You got that hammer up in here. Big ear, 6'1". They call me Big Shot. I'm in the kingdom. Bye-bye.
All right, and okay, this is going to be a chance perhaps to, I'm not sure where he's at, SWL 52. He could be on the crossband, he could be on the Echo Link, so I'll just put out a call. We'll say SWL 52 and see what shows up.
Keep on these dumb buckers just like this. Just keep on these dumb buckers just like this.
But he checked in early, so I'll get an X in the square. We've got all the devices checked out. SWL 53, Mr. Bel Air the Legend. Checking in early. Oh,
SWL
there he is.
52 on the crossband, K6USY.
All right, there we go, a little bit of delay, a little bit of latency. Never heard anybody. I wasn't sure. I didn't see you on Echo Link, but I know you were on the crossband. It's sounding good. And there is no DX, albeit for a couple of stations in, Clovis here on 2 meters. You're sounding good. Thanks for checking in. KB6GFD.
5469, Digger 1, waving, bye-bye-bye.
All right, I got to get that fan fixed. Let me go to page number 3, and I'll be right back. We're going to, I know where it is. They were going to run around. Now, I know exactly what I need to do to fix the noise, so I will be back in a moment. OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
By 977, 977, 23 waving. Yeah, we trying to cut it.
He can come out and hijack the channel, man. He's sticking out his chest again, Porky. Hey, Porky, he's sticking out his chest. Take care, Porky. Catch you later. Bye-bye-bye.
All right, we're back. Got the fan, and hopefully that'll take care of the noise. And those of you who do recording, put the headphones back on. Those of you who do recording know about condenser microphoniums and their susceptibility to wind noise. So if you have a real studio, if you have a real good studio, like I don't, then you don't have to worry about that. They say I look like alfalfa with the hair thing going on. All right. But anyway, that is what happens. You get a little bit of noise, and the condenser microphone is very susceptible to that kind of stuff. So maybe not the best microphonium to use in a situation like this, but it does produce some good sound. We are looking for SWL 54. Got 54 checked in. SWL 55.
55 checking in.
Oh man, just stepping through the skip and working good. We got you checked in. Thanks for listening. Over.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's some buckets making it rough for you, but I hear you trying to see something, Porky, the break way.
Thank you, 55. SWL 56 got a check-in earlier.
I hope you can hear me, Dennis. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, 55, you are sounding good. Over.
Yeah, tell him Big Shot said it doesn't count. It doesn't count,
Yeah, they're probably hearing you up in Hawaii. 55 is in, 56 is in. SWL 57 checking in and checking out. Long day tomorrow in the shop. He's going to be putting the finishing touches on the shop, which is nice. That's good to hear. And hope to be opening soon. Yeah. Wishing a happy Easter to everyone. We hope it gets open and works well for you. So, yeah, get your rest, get in there, put the final touches on that, and it'll be good to go for the spring and summer and all other times. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for stopping in to join us tonight. SWL 58.
Breaker, radio check. 124 from Fresno. Radio check.
Got a proxy in for 58. The radio check from Fresno, making it through what we call a propagation from near and far out. You're sounding good here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Streaming live at oldtuberadio.net, where you to jump on your Universal Media Netweb. Also, there's a link to do some type of video thing going on. But the most important thing is we will be chatting with our faithful tube radio operators and collectors coming up in a few minutes or so. And so you should stay tuned for that so you can get the sound, the feel, the aura, if you will, of 11-meter radio back in the 1960s. When there was skip in the 1970s, when there was skip in the late 1958, 59, the big solar cycle, where it was 5 watts and a wire, you could talk anywhere you wanted. Maybe cycle 25, which we're just getting into, will be like that. It's certainly starting off that way. Let's go to SWL 59.
Radio check.
Hello, it's me, Ashley.
And there is another radio check. We hear you as well.
Thank you. Those are my daughters.
Yeah, modulating the microphonium quite nicely here in Midtown Fresno, the Old Tube Radio Network. Uncle Hairball looking for 59 if he is out there, and he's right there with the check marks. As advertised, we should put that SWL 59 as seen on Old Tube Radio Network. Let's try SWL 60.
Evening time to you, Dennis, and all the fellas out there on the band. Happy Easter to everyone. If you've got a copy, Dennis, SWL60 checking in.
Yeah, I've got you. You've got it pumped up tonight. Almost 20 over here at the control point, and sounding good. You are checked in 60 over.
Thank you, Dennis.
SWL 61, I will give Dino a check-in. He may have given up by now, but I bet he was out there. 61, you're checked in.
080-030 there, 193, Big Island, we're standing by.
Like I said, I like some of the audio that's coming through. We've got some really nice DX audio. I just wish there wasn't so much of it during the net. Let's go to SWL 62.
I'm not mistaken, it's 030 in California, Big Island, 193. Your Big Island.
And Steve says, with the what? Oh, you know what I'm looking at? Oh, let's see. What am I? Oh, I'm looking at SWR. That's SWR. That's current. Yeah, let's go with whatever that is. So it's not sitting at 0. Freaking people out, because obviously the watt meter is going to be, we're not putting out that much power here. We've got, IDD? I like that one. What is that? That's your voltage. So let's put the voltage meter up. Thanks for noticing that. But no, I am transmitting. You notice people are coming back to me. Thanks, Steve. Let's go to SWL 63.
Bye-bye, 030, 193 is in the clear.
Eric D, looking good on the chat tonight. SWL 64. Craig is in from Wisconsin. I saw you earlier. You can hear the noise that is going on tonight. It's probably quiet where you are right now. We got you checked in. And my numbers are behind. Somebody says update your numbers. We will do that. 60 checked in. We got to get that. So next is SWL 66. Was that a break for OTR? Over? It's hard to know. There are so many breakers from which to choose, but only certain ones will be breaking for the old Tube Radio Network. SWL 67, still working on the internet, said Bill, so we'll get you checked in from up there. Hopefully you can join us on one of the other venues that are available for tuning in your favorite Saturday night place to be. SWL 68. I think I got a note to check in Michael earlier out there in Tooland. Delta Bravo India, we got you checked in. SWL 69. Kenny, if you were in, sorry, I might have missed you because I scrolled past all the early check-ins on the chat, but I will go back and double check. We've got an X in the square. SWL 70. And Foxman, I will endeavor to remember to turn on the Tube Radio when we get to the Tube Radios tonight. It's warm in this room. I don't need the radios to heat things up, but I do need them for aesthetic value.
Don't be afraid. Key that microphone. California Rider. Bye-bye.
SWL 71. Let me check. Before we check Stan, let me see if the gray line, where's the map? I had a really good gray line map showing up. Checking the Kiwi SDR too, and the satellite link to see if we can get into Batavia tonight. Looks like the link is opened up. So I'm going to open in, we're going to open the uplink, downlink on 27085 AM. Up into Batavia. So, Jimmy, if you're listening, whenever you get a chance, key up the microphonium, and we will probably hear you. We'll do a conversation. I know there's going to be some delay up and down, so don't worry about that. We will work through the delay. The old Tube Radio Network listening, and we are in our directed net roll call. And to bring the threshold gain up just a little bit. Looks good. All right. So we'll leave that up and running. Let's go to, SWL 71. I was talking about Stan, who, if he is there checking and working the Georgia QSO party. And he said he's going to knock it off for the night. We'll be back Sunday. I will have some radio airtime on Sunday. I did not get any HF time, albeit for some 40 meters, and right as the sun was going down, right in the evening time, we did hear barely some 40-meter California or Georgia QSO, but they were way down in the noise. So I know if I was up on the proper bands, we would be able to do that. So I will look for you out there, and hopefully you are giving out some points or getting some points or whatever it is that you need to do, and getting those logs turned in so that everybody will get their points. Thanks, Stan, and yeah, get some rest and continue on tomorrow. Let's go to SWL 72. SWL 73. SWL 74. Shortwave listener 75. SWL 77. From Wild Wildemore, SWL 78.
K9931, Aloha.
33 Hillbilly Break. Proxy 109, please. Okay, we'll do that. Yeah, 30 dBs of Hawaiian Northwest. You've got the big antenna up there, so I will get 109 proxied in, no problem. Thanks for the heads up on that. And I would think that we would be losing some of the, I don't know, some of the skip by now. Maybe not. I was going to see if we can check out the map here, see where the gray line is across the U.S. going in. So yeah, the Hawaii right there off the corner is just coming in the next probably 10 to 15 minutes. We'll notice they will be out, but Australia will still be in there. SWL 79, Philip, I saw your check-in earlier. I saw your DC check-in earlier, so we'll get you checked in.
Hello around Cali, Great Smoky, Honolulu, by 317.
Yeah, we're around Cali, I think. SWL 80. Let's go to Bob and Steve, who've been very busy this week, as always, keeping things up and running and very nice around the QTH here at the Old Tube Radio Network.
27.085 OTR, Channel 11.
Channel 11, 27085, the Old Tube Radio Network, for episode 162, April 8th, 2023, for Bob and Steve. We appreciate all that you do around here, and you've really created a nice radio museum as people come out the elevator and go off, what is it, left or right? And I can't remember what direction they go, but the radio table with all the nice little garage sale finds on display. Just got back from the Masters, they did, and they were going to get me a green jacket, but the Costco card said no. Well, there's no problem on that. We did get you the yellow tie with the barbecue sauce on it. Lots of rain and falling trees. I've got, speaking of barbecue sauce, but they knew not to put any barbecue sauce on my food here. The pavilion is getting a very nice addition. I was wondering what that plastic was all draped over everything. A SkyTrack SIG 10 full-size golf simulator package. And my golf game is even worse than my bowling game, so I will need some help with that. You can play any course in the U.S. and more. Yes, the Costco card helped out. Well, that's good. At least it's working for something. They had to move Sue over to make everything work. Sorry about that, Sue. I mean, I'm glad you were accommodating. Please sign up for your time slot on the bulletin board near the elevator, and we will check that. I think they look on Tuesday, so sign up by Tuesday on that. The Jingle Singers Girl Scouts with their mothers worked all day last Wednesday painting the Easter eggs for tomorrow. They are ready. Very nice. We had some of them on display next to the radios. A very, very festive item of interest. They also picked up a Regency Imperial tube. Yes, the radio has 13 tubes. 2 of these are 6 AQ5s, and they push-pull for plenty of audio. Don't I know? Don't I know? Used to run the Regency as an OTR radio, so it needs a little bit of work. So if the one that's on the display table is good, maybe we'll use that. If not, you might notice a few parts are missing, but I'll put them back. And there is the one tube dedicated to the sideband circuit. Yeah, that's for the... what do they call it? The demodulator. It's in a little cage, I think. It's that 13th tube. There's also, sometimes you can look down, you see the little blue glow. It looks pretty cool. At the bar tonight from Morrow, California, Bayside Cafe, seafood pasta, scallops, clams, shrimps, and assorted fresh fish. I got some of the potatoes and carrots out of that, which are quite nice. And it's all in a light mushroom basil sauce, if you like that. And the drinks are on Bob and Steve, if you like that. And I know that we do. Don't forget to feed the fish, the Old Tube Radio Network, taking your check-ins in moments.
27.085 OTR, Channel 11.
And sometimes I wonder if my mud duck signal gets through to the mini graphs and they hear the Old Tube Radio Network that's been going on, this frequency, on Saturday evenings with various radios, various operators, various net controllers for the last 37 years, 38 years. And they say, is that still happening? And yes, it is. Thanks to all of you. Pretty cool. Let's try SWL 81. SWL 82.
82 checking in from the ditch banks of Biola. Good evening. Hopefully breaking through the pileup.
Yeah, you got big power. You got big power on AM tonight. You're breaking through the pileup.
Yeah, howdy doody.
You might not be able to hear me, but I will put in the plug for the Ditch Banks sideband net on Friday evenings at 8 o'clock here on your West Coast radio. 27,365 lower sideband, the Ditch Banks sideband net. Check out your sideband, and as a bonus, if you've got the FM mode, they're checking that out as well after the net. Pretty cool. FM is an interesting mode of operation. If you've got the button, you can try it out on Friday evenings after the 8 o'clock net. Thanks, Ron.
All right, thanks, Dennis.
Ditch Banks sideband with a side order of frequency modulation. Over to SWL 83. Well, I'm actually hearing a little bit of static. Could it possibly be? And there's a lot of static. Too much static. SWL 84, SWL 86, SWL 87, and SWL 88. A note to Proxy End, Cheerios Kid, Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and Snowy Owl, respectively in that order for sure.
Break OTR.
The break OTR, go ahead, over.
72.
Hey, 72, sounding good. Radio Boy at the microphonium. Hope all is going well. Thanks for joining us. Radio Boy from the big Radio Shack. He just keeps adding radios and antennas, and at some point, he's going to be sitting outside with a big, long microphone cord because he won't be able to fit through the door with all that radio gear. SWL 89.
I'm not running a gate, but I can, though. I'll sit back and see what...
Talking about running a gate. And here we are, streaming live at oldtuberadio.net. The video is up, and they're talking about running a gate. We've got one going right now. You just have to listen in. SWL 90. SWL 91. And here's the guy that to help me with my gate, whatever that is, with my gate. And it was before the big crash on the computer. So Felix, when you said everything was good, and then it wasn't. Then it was again. But thanks for being there, 91. Also saying hello to the SWL and OTR operators. Popcorn 913 is in the house with popcorn. He's got the little cart. He's got the little cart thing, so you don't have to go. The popcorn will be coming to you tonight. So how cool is that? Let's go to SWL 92. Okay, 61, 61, 61, over. You got it, 61, over, over. Now, there's somebody who could work a DX pileup, SWL 61, from way out in the wild North Copenhagen. We've got you checked in.
Break channel.
The break channel, go ahead, over.
Yeah, this is 777. I'll be checking in, Dennis.
777, that's not one, that's not two, but that's 3 sevens, or as we say in the business, 7 cubed. The 777, we've got you checked in, sounding good through the skip.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my ham license.
All right, well, see, if you had your ham license now, you'd be able to up on 10 meters and then talk, because the band is probably still open. And so continue on. Don't get discouraged and don't give up, because we'd like to talk to you.
Okay, I will. What megahertz is 10 meters?
We are at 27 megahertz on the 11-meter band. So as you go higher in frequency, the band, as they say, goes down. So higher in frequency is 28 megahertz. So that would be the 10-meter band. And it goes from 28.0 megahertz to 29.7 megahertz, wherein you will find all sorts of digital modes, CW, sideband, AM, and FM repeaters. A very cool band. Over.
Roger that.
And the antennas are easy to make as they are on 11 meters. They're not very large. Wires will work, horizontal works, mobile whips will work. So cool stuff. All right, thanks for joining us. We got you checked in.
Now, how do you do the offset?
Well, you will only need the offset for a repeater, and I believe that they are 500 megahertz. Typically, you will have a radio that will do that for you if it works for FM. It will have an offset button, and it will know that you are on 10-meter FM, and it will give you the plus or minus depending on what you were doing. We do not have any 10-meter repeaters around here, but there are some that come through on the DX window. All right, I'm going to continue with the roll call because we do want to get those radios checked in. The band, the channel is starting to open up a little bit, be nice and clear, so we should have good sailing all the way through. We got SWL 91 in. We called 92. How about SWL 93? SWL 95. And Warthog 95 was in there waiting for me to say that magic word, SWL 95, and indeed, I will do that. We've got you checked in from beautiful Orlando, Florida. SWL 96, Mr. Poon Picker from Kerman checked in at the beginning of the net during all the skip and said, "Are you kidding?" Eddie, are you kidding? SWL 97 from Boston 97 saying hello, radio tonight. Thank you, Jim. And hello, radio. SWL 98. Tracy was also in. I'll get Tracy checked in to the Old Tube Radio Network. SWL, where are we going? 99. Radio Randy. I had a good chat with Randy up on the ESSB audio frequency, or should I say down on the audio frequency at 7199, and he is still going to be listening and getting the beam pointed this way when we get the proper skip from Arizona. Sounding good on the, he was on the Kenwood 990 this afternoon. Big, one of those flagship radios from Kenwood. SWL 100, I'll get the proxy check in for Tony from McClellanville, South Carolina. Tony, if you are listening, you got you checked in. Shortwave listener 102. John is in the proverbial house, such that it is, Arkansas to California. Thank you for jumping in with us tonight. SWL 103. SWL 109. I will see if Crawdad is actually hearing me, but he did stop by the video and said get him checked in because he was having the 20 over noise level here tonight. But anyway, 109, you are checked in. Wiki Wacky, hello S9 Radio, checking in from Big Bear Mountain, talking about you today. We were talking about you today on 40 meters and your tube rolling ability. We got some of the guys that are running the RCA, the older RCA tubes in their vintage Voodoo audio equipment. Looking at some of your posts, and like what you said about the 532s for the amplifiers. So once you get your Voodoo audio set and your nice audio coming out of the radio, what do you do with it? Do you send it through a solid state, LD MOS amplifier and keep it clean, or do you still keep the tube sound by going through the 572s or the 335 100Zs? What do you do? You throw a 6146 in there. So that was interesting. We got a station that's got an amp, so he's going to be listening in on his output of various amplification devices, and we'll report back with what is the sound. Once you get the radio sound and you're going to do some amplification, what then? Captain Audio. All right, thank you, Greg, for joining us. Let's go to SWL 110. SWL 111, Robert checked in earlier, stopped by when the skip was in and said, well, look for me when the channel is quiet. Anyway, got you, Robert. SWL 113. Brewster 3006, you're looking good. You're on Old Tube Radio tonight. Thanks for joining us. SWL 114.
I'm checking in too. 114 checking in.
All right, I snuck in. I said, he's not going to hear me with that guy, but there he is. I hear you fine, Wayne, and you are checked in. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the check-in.
SWL 128. See if Fairfax, Virginia is in tonight. Yeah, right there. Checking in. I'm probably one of the various radios, various audio things coming through his shack tonight. Got the long wire up on WWV, listening into some shortwave radio on the Hallicrafters, probably checking the guys out in 75 meters and listening to the police calls, right? up on VHF. Now that is an SWL. Got you checked in, John. Let's go over to SWL 131. Shortwave listener 133. SWL 135.
Hello there, Dennis. SWL 135 and the Easter Bunny, wishing everybody out there a happy Easter, everybody.
The Easter Bunny. We have not heard from the Easter Bunny in almost, 365 days, but our radio bunny that enjoys the tube radios as much as we all do just can't help but come out and say in their bunny way, hello, radio. Thank you, sir. SWL 137. Up the hill for Tony, SWL 145.
Well, good evening, 145, Tony Gorsko trying to check in. The Pineapple Express really rough and tough this evening.
Absolutely, but you're beaconing down the hill with no problem, and we've got you checked in over.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, and just an update: is the normal repeater up for the for the morning net, or is it still on the alternate one?
No, the 1A. This morning was the first time trying to get back on the 1A, but there was some issues. But yeah, so it was partially working. So yeah, we're back on the 1A. Roger.
All right, good deal. I think a lot of people are used to using that one, so that'll be a good thing.
All right, Dennis, we look forward to hearing you again. That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, thanks for checking in with us tonight in the Old Tube Radio Network. Over to shortwave listener 147. I'm going to check in Neil, but I don't recall if he put in an item of interest, which I will find when I scour my chat window. Up there in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Skipland is good when you have the right antenna, SWL 188.
evening time, Dennis. Good evening time to all this. WL 188 checking in.
All right, you are sounding good, sir. We've got the X in the square, and you're making it through our DX conditions as the gray line heads towards the Pacific and kind of squelches them down a bit so we can hear the local stations. You, of course, with the DX Pile Buster, no problem hearing you. Got you checked in.
10-4 evening time. Happy Easter, everybody.
Indeed. Let me take a pause. I mentioned our video crew that we check out with on the 7199 with people who experiment with audio. We are here on AM running 6 kilohertz of bandwidth with an upper and lower sideband. And there are some stations out there that say, why cannot we that run single sideband achieve or attempt to achieve that same phi-type fidelity? And so Scott, who is listening in from Radio Free, down there in Radio Free, does that with his outfit, his radio outfit on lower sideband, expanding the horizons with a little bit of extra bandwidth, not unlike the bandwidth we used here on AM, and using some processing devices that some of the broadcast stations use to get a sound that is very true and lifelike and experimental, if you will, on the amateur radio band. So, Scott, thanks for joining us. This is the shack that does the AM and the FM and the sideband. Let's see, if you're watching the video, and I don't want to take too much time here, but I will open the camera up. And there is, at the top of the rack, right there, where's the blinky lights? Oh, it's way down here. For the Wheatstone 532. So you can see the AGC section going on over here, and the limiter section going on over there, and then the outputs and the inputs. So probably very similar to the Robert Orban device that produces your mellifluous audio on a single sideband. So thanks for joining us here, the Old Tube Radio Network, where we are getting close to checking in those tube radios, if indeed Net Control would stop talking. SWO 195 up in Coarsegold. Jim, I don't know if you can hear me up there, but hello, radio.
Oh, you're coming in here crystal clear, Dennis. 195 checking in. Make sure those things are hot boiled before you eat them.
You know, they have them all over the green room here tonight, and I was not really in the egg coloring contest, so I will defer to those who say they are, and hope that it is true. The good news is I can hear you. The even better news is that you are, if I can find the tag, where is it? You are the 00, and I will hold it up to our video audience, just so they know. 195 got picked out of the bin tonight, so I've got you checked in. This is your second check-in tonight, over.
10-4, I appreciate it, Dennis. I really do. Thank you.
All right, and Jim up in Coarsegold, up above the foothills of Fresno, has been joining us for, shall I say, decades? And he's been in the 00 seat a couple of times, so he knows what to do. A true pro at that. Thanks. And last check-in, SWL 226. And anybody that I missed that can hear me now, I am listening through the headphoniums. The skip is a little bit low, so if you tried to get in earlier and you did not get a confirmation that you think you may have gotten, I'm listening. All right, without any further ado, we're going to take a short break. I'm going to set up for the tube radios, try not to break anything, and we'll be back and do what we do best, what we've been doing for well over 35 years, and that is check in, talk to, talk about, help fix, maybe help unfix those tube radios from Class D 11-meter citizen radio service starting in 1958 when the FCC banged their gavel and said, you know, that 11-meter band you amateurs have, well, you don't have it anymore. But we've created a service for the common people, the citizen band, that they don't need to be licensed. And in theory, it's not a hobby type thing. It's not an experimental thing. It is a licensed thing where you say KEO 8492 base to Unit 1, and Unit 1 says, hey, base, and the base says, bring home a loaf of bread. And that was the wisdom of the FCC. Well, we've been, for the last, 70 years or so, bringing home a lot more than a loaf of bread. The FCC says, whatever. And here we are in the 21st century, back with your tube radios in a moment. Thanks for listening. Don't look now, but your radio's tuned to the old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The old Tube Radio Network.
Or as they say somewhere, your old Tube Radio Network, thanks to you, our old Tube radio operators and shortwave listeners, on the air most every Saturday for a long, long time. They're pointing. They don't forget to turn on the radio before we start. Give a little tube ambiance to the Radio Shack here. And what's that? We don't have a sponsor tonight. Or we don't have a pocket. We don't? Well, should I put, I need to put some, oh, okay, here we go. Let me just put something in here. I'll just grab something. It is not the pen, if I can get it. Okay, here's a pencil from, all right, well, there you go. It's the pencil from abc30.com. The ABC30 pencil. That'll go in there. It's pretty, I don't even know I have this. Oh, it's one of those kind of flexi pencils. But that's pretty good. The station where I used to run around occasionally, popped for a nice little promotional pencil. I bet it might even work. So in it goes. All right, without any further ado, the part of the net that we all like, those tube radios. Our operators, collectors are at the ready. I was also going to see if we could, let me see if the if Jimmy is out there. Jimmy, if you're out there, let me know, because the satellite is up and running in your area on 27085. It's able to get into that, so we will see. But anyway, OTR is listening for your check-ins.
135, 135.
166, fucking check in.
All right, 135. I hear you. Let me sign in to the radio list. April 8th, 2023. Let me get to the radio chart. Clear the rigs, and we do. I keep an analog list of the radios that check in. That's what we've been doing forever. Somewhere there are piles of stacks of paper that have your radio on it that you have checked in whenever it might have been, in 1988 or 2003. So, Mr. Green Arrow, at about, 9:23. I'm glad you stuck around with us. As you can hear, the conditions are quite nice right now. Take a transmission. Tell us what you got. Over.
Okay. This is SWL 135 on a radio from Winnisquam, New Hampshire. And of course I'm here with the Easter Bunny. I can't wait to hear what that sounds like on a D104. This is the Tram TR27 Echo, TR27E. Let's see, there are 12 tubes, but all 23 channels transmit, and of course, 23 channels and beyond on the VFO receiver. Back to you.
Yeah, indeed. Boy, you don't go away. Don't let Bunny go away, because I'm going to have you put that in a couple more times. It is sounding, I don't know. I think Bunny might need a Shure 444, but we hear it. I've put up for those at the video at oldtubradio.net an advertisement. And what does it say where it's from? This says advertisement that Tram put out probably in 1963, 64, maybe late 62 when this radio came out. And right at the top it says it's the best. They don't waste any time showing the Tram TR27E with a Turner Plus 2 microphone plugged into the front of the radio. It looks like it runs a little, I don't know, it's a banana plug, but a 1/4-inch phone plug. Is your microphone not the 4-pin style? It's different, right?
That is correct. Just like its mobile companion, the TR70 Charlie, that I also have. It's a 1/4-inch stereo plug and jack.
All right, so that's similar. I guess the keying, I'm going to add a little more receive audio there. And a little more receive audio when you come back. TR27E, 23 Citizen Band base station. Works well. Features 12 tubes. That's a lot of tubes for that radio. But it has 17 tube performance. So there you go. Plus 5 silicon rectifiers, S double-tuned RF and IF transformers, 23 position transmit, 1 crystal receive, external illuminated transmit channel indicator, calibrated illuminated 23 channel manual tune dial, and a transmit crystal access door. Wait a minute, a transmit crystal access door? Do you have a key to that door? Over?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. It's called a screwdriver. And, on the top, if you're looking at Ed's or somebody's picture of it, I got a picture of this one up somewhere, too. If you look at the receive dial and the meter, directly above that, on the top, is a doorway, and all you got to do is loosen the screws, and a section of the top pops right off. It even has its own vents for letting all the heat out, and you can get at just about everything from there without actually having to pull it from the case. You can mess with the crystals if you need to, but you can also tune the thing, and of course you can get at the light bulbs, which is nice. You don't actually have to pull it from the case to change the light bulbs. I thought that was kind of a neat feature. Back to you.
Yeah, very nice. This is a large base style radio. It is not made to go mobile. I don't think it has the capability. They had a mobile version of this radio that was a bit smaller. It was a Tram, was it the 70C? Anyway, on this radio, base radio, and the engineers saying, well, it's 5 watts. We can use convection cooling. You know, put the tubes in the right place so that the air travels through and exits out the vents and keeps things running cool. And then we can also make it nice to change your crystals if you want to do that. They have the 23 tunable receiver because the FCC back in the day, you had to be crystal controlled transmit. You know, I'm just thinking the novice amateur radio operators also had to be crystal controlled back then. The novices could not use a VFO. That'd be crystal controlled. Likewise, the 11 meter band, but that still goes today. But receiver-wise, not a problem. And I think they might have been a little bit worried that people wouldn't be able to get on frequency, or they channelized it to make it a bit easier so that you could say, go to channel 11, flip the knob, and you were there. So again, that was the citizen band. It wasn't made as a technical hobby-type communication thing. But Tram knew better. They really built a lot of good stuff into this radio. Engineered as if it were an amateur radio to make things easy, were you to wanting to get in and change a few things around. And as we're hearing now in the 21st century, April 8th, 2023, a radio that was on the shelf and ready to be bought on April 8th, 1963, it is still sounding doggone good. Back to you.
Yeah, and a 60-year-old tube-style CB radio is still on the air and doing its thing. In case I failed to mention, this one has a chrome case instead of the wrinkle finish case. And if I forgot to mention, I'm using a D104 amplified with a TUG9 stand, I think. And let's see, is there anything else about this thing we need to know? My noise limiter is on because it really does actually help quite a bit with the noise. There's a lot of noise tonight in the area, and you just click it on. It's fully adjustable, but you know, the further you turn that thing to the right, once you click it on, the more the fidelity goes away. If you know what I mean. I actually tried it with you while you were talking. If you turn it all the way to the right and you sound like it's really best just kind of clicked in the on position, and it does you know, like it acts like a noise blanker.
Yeah, noise blankers are good for noise. Sometimes they detect high frequency audio as a noise too. So you got to, as you know, got to be careful sometimes if a noise blanker is engaged and somebody's running some high fidelity audio. It'll pick that extra flavor in the audio and say, I don't know what to do with this, and it'll break it up a little bit. Getting some good comments from your audio from the listeners. Hello to Flaquito from Panama, Hotel Papa 4 Echo Mike Charlie, listening in to the TR27E here in Central California. We're hearing the radio live. It's coming through my receiver out through the Universal Media Netweb to your receiver of choice. And Cliff is on the TR27E. We were reading about it. AC, all-in-one volume control, peak modulation indicator, F5x7 heavy magnet speaker. So that rivaled what Browning was putting in their receivers. And I'm looking at some other stuff. It says, the quality of Tram electronics is fully guaranteed by careful assembly and company's policy. Tram Electronics Incorporated guarantees your money back if for any reason you are dissatisfied and you choose to return the product in 10 days. And then they go on to say, now all Tram equipment is covered by a 12-month guarantee transferable to any subsequent owner. See warranty packed with your set. So that is a pretty decent testament that they were not afraid of what they made.
Yeah, I should get a hold of them, shouldn't I? I've been having some problems with this thing. I'll have to call them up. But As far as Browning goes, I think the guy who came up with tram, you'll have to ask Harvey for the history on this, but it's the same guy. He designed some of the early Browning radios, and then went out and started his own company, which is Tram. That's why there's a lot of similarities with these things. But that big 5x7 speaker has great audio out of it, and it looks like I'm just about bang on frequency. Maybe just the teensiest bit high, but not too much.
Oh, you caught me just doing the zero beat. Take another quick transmission, and we'll check that out.
Okay, here I am. Hopefully, just about bang right on frequency. Let's see if the bunny is on frequency. Yeah, I think the bunny's on frequency too.
Bunny is on. Bunny is sounding interesting. Bunny is sounding interesting to say the least tonight. Maybe a little bit high, like 100 cycles. Maybe not even that much. It took me a while to get the zero beat to go off at zero. So when I go to upper, lower, direct center frequency, you are right there. Not bad for a radio that's been out and about since 1963 or so. This was the radio that came before the Titan series, and I'm not sure what radio came before this, if this was their first, like you mentioned, foray into it's time for me to build my set in Tram. And like they said, we're going to use hand-wired circuitry and give you guarantees, and we're going to stand behind our item of interest. Captain Robert, hello, from Nevada, listening in and enjoying, as always, the tube radios. Our tube radio operators, knowledgeable and taking the space out of their where they put the radios so that we can hear them each weekend. And remembering that on Saturday night they got to maybe sneak away from what they were supposed to be doing to join us, and we appreciate that. Radio number 1, the Tram TR27 Echo. Really, really good audio. Listen to the replay if you can, and back to you.
Okay. Thanks for letting me check it in here on this Easter Eve. I guess in just a few hours it will be Easter, and I thought this was a colorful enough radio to pass for some sort of Easter egg. An Easter egg radio. There's some greens and red of the flashing lights, and some blue, and lots of Easter egg colors. And with that, I'll let the Easter Bunny say goodbye till next week. That's still working after 20 years.
The Easter Bunny almost sounds like a Star Trek phaser at some point. Doing a good job. Jingle Singers are here. We haven't heard from them yet tonight, but we will hear from them shortly. And after that, we will be listening for radio number 2 and any and all check-ins that may not have been able to make it through the skip. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, streaming at oldtuberadio.net. Live at 27085 in Central California, and there's a video thing going on as well. Back in a second or two.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
Break OTR.
Hello, radio from your Old Tube Radio Network. And I think you can still hear me out there.
Yeah, I can hear you quite well there, Dennis. Anyway, this is SWL37. I would like to check in radio.
Loading you up on the number 2 selection for tube radios tonight. Also saying hello. They're saying a honk of the proverbial proboscis to get us going on radio number 2. Tell me what you got, and I'll see if it's in the Rolodex.
I got a radio with tubes in it.
All right. Do you know how many? And it doesn't matter, but typically there are 7 or more.
I believe there's 9. Anyway, I want to check in my general radio telephone, the Super MC11A. This is the 24-channel version of all those. And we are running this here stock microphone with it that comes in. And that's what it is. Over.
And it is what it is. From General Radio Telephone, somewhere in beautiful downtown Burbank, all throughout the 1960s and early 1970s. We've got an address. I don't know what was there. We should do a Google map and see what was there. Their radio called the MC, or when it first came out, the Master Control. And I think they had a number 3 and a number 4 and a number 5, a number 6 and number 7. And then they went to the Super 8, the Super 9. I don't believe there was a 10. Then there was a Super MC11, and it went back to the drawing board, and then there was the Super MC11A. If you're at old2radio.net or watching the video, it looks something like this. And if you are listening any and everywhere, it sounds something like this. Take a transmission, over.
Yeah, it sounds just like this right here. Over. And it's, well, you know, I'm keying up roughly about 7 watts of what it says on the meter, on the meter here. And let's see, and it goes to, it goes up to about 22.
Some good, and I don't have a confirmation that this is using plate modulation, but I think it is. The radio we're showing from the collection of Cliff, who checked in moments ago on his tram, but we're showing the microphone that came with the radio when you brought it home from the electronics store, or wherever it is you might have purchased it back in the early 1970s. The General CM3, sort of a teardrop-shaped microphone, and that is what you were using, right? No D104s, no amplification, over.
No, it's just this little handheld thing.
Still works. And a lot of these radios, the microphones were paired to sound good with the radio. Unlike today, I mean, you can buy a $5,000 Yaesu, and it comes with this little plastic microphone. You plug it in, you think, you know, can't we do better than this for $5,000? Come on. And back here for what was it, I think these ran for about $170, $199. Don't have the exact price of this 9-tube radio back in the 1970s. But they gave you this microphone that if it sits around until the 21st century is going to still sound like this. Take a transmission.
And it sounds like this. And it's still working, Dennis. It definitely is. I have no complaints, over.
Hey, and nor do our shortwave listeners that are enjoying the sounds of real radio glowing in the dark. Tune to channel 11 on the picture. Tune to channel 11 at your end. Is it truly a green background on the channel selector?
Yes, it is. It's got the green backing with the black numbers.
All right, and then this also has the 24 channel. On this particular one, I think they use the Civil Air Patrol frequency. Sometimes the 24 channels are the RC channels 22A or 22B, but I believe this one has a Civil Air Patrol position.
Yes, it does.
Well, I'll have to find somebody who was actually working with Civil Air Patrol who was using these radios and find out how they worked or what they used them for, or if they even use them at all, what their power level was. I don't know. Maybe that's a way if you put a Civil Air Patrol on your radio to say, well, you know, the radio is capable of 15 watts output, which that one is, with some very easy modification, and maybe that was a Civil Air Patrol thing. All right, we'll put on the S meter live for those who can see what it's doing. Give us a transmission.
Okay. Well, I don't know how close it is on frequency, but I know it does work, and I'm looking over here at this one meter and just goes left to right. It starts from the left and swings way to the right, over.
That's a good thing. What do they call it? Forward modulation, upward modulation. The fact that that creates that great sound And that means you are doing it right somewhere. All right, Radio 2, General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. You can find out more about it if you have a Sam's Photofax Book 22, page 45. 9 tubes, the final amplifier, the ECLL 800. Look that up. Is that even possible to get anymore? And the audio is a 12AX78. We were talking about that with S9 radio and some of the ESSB sideband stations about getting that perfectly, old RCA rolled tubes with the big plates or whatever to get the sound that's good for the low frequency audio. There are tubes that are good for music, but you need a tube that has that audio flavor down in the 300 hertz range or below, and that definitely has got it. Do not swap the tubes out of that radio. Sounding good. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, I promise you, Dennis, I'll be back with another.
All right, we will be here. The Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio's glowing in the dark. They're feeding me tonight. I made it in the air chair. We had one of those computer things right before the net. Everything is up, and then something happens, and you got to start. You can't just fix the one thing. You got to start all over. Speaking of starting over, the Jingle Singers, not starting over, but doing what are they holding up? This is whatever verse number 2 is. Here they go.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
And hopefully the station for you, maybe even you, is the Old Tube Radio Network, beaconing the airwaves since the mid-1980s, right here on Channel 11. Some people say, well, why are you on 11 when it's so noisy during the day? 11 was considered early on a call frequency, and I'm guessing it's because it was in the middle of the band. So if you had an antenna cut for 11 meters, it might have a little higher SWR in Channel 1 and Channel 23. But at 11, not a bad thing. So listen in on 11. Wait for your station to call, KO 8492, base to Unit 1. And then maybe you would take Unit 1 off to go to Channel 13 or go to A or go to B. And you'd flip the control to B, and then you'd have your conversation. And stay off the main Channel 11 frequency. But anyway, we found here at the Old Tube Radio Network that when someone finds a tube radio, were they not to have it in their arsenal from day one, and it's not a 23-channel radio, that a crystal that it would typically have would be Channel 11. And so it was one of those, well, let's come on down to Channel 11 because everybody that's got a tube radio has that channel in it, probably. And that's why we are here, and we're going to stay here. We're listening for your radios.
36.
All right, we've got to Joe, step up into the green room. We'll get right to you. You'll be radio number 4. And Chris, he didn't go far. He left his extension cord up here to plug the radio. And Chris, take a transmission, you're radio 3, and then we'll see what Joe has got after you.
Okay, well, that sounds good. He's always got some good stuff over there. But anyway, Dennis, I would like to check in my G PowerMate, my Gem Marine Products, a 23-channel tuber that glows in the dark. And we are running this here with the amplified D104 Lollipop. Over.
D104 stand. There's the G PowerMate. See if I get a closer shot. That's a little too close here. Ah, perfect. And well, look at that. I bet that you're right. It says it's from the collection of Chris. It's got the G in the middle that looks like a captain's ship steering wheel on a ship. Gem Marine Products, who also probably made VHF radio stuff as well. But they got some okay from the Panasonic people to take that Series 2 chassis, put their name on it, and away we go. Take a transmission.
Okay, I was going to tell you one thing here also. Now, like on the General, I had the green backing with the black letters. Now, on this one here, I got the green numbers with the black backing. Over.
And the green RX light that is up and running right now on the G PowerMate And that has the switchable SRF meter. I guess they couldn't pop for that relay. They would automatically switch it over for that, but sounding good. And do I have any information on this? Sometimes I have a tube compartment. No. We just know it's a Panasonic chassis. Looking good. A radio that's been around since the early 1970s, as have I, as have you. Someone is asking. Someone is asking, it says, is it true that that we were on YouTube in the 1980s? We were, but they were using those big, huge cameras back then. And we had to have 10,000 watts of light and a lot of makeup. And you had those, when you waved your hand across the screen, you had the big burn-ins. And then it was actually on film. And you could hear sometimes the film would break, and I would say, and you remember, Chris, it would be like, Chris, I like your over.
And absolutely, I'm going to play it every time. That's the way it goes, Des, over.
Right, and as Eric mentions, when it got noisy in the radio room, which it did, we used the cone of silence, sort of like we used the cone of silence that never worked very well, and sometimes it wouldn't work quite right, but we got through it. It was the 1980s, and now here we are in the 21st century, and the radios are still sounding good. Radio number 3, the G PowerMate from Chris and the Gem Marine Products Company and Panasonic. Take a transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
Okay, Des, thank you very much for being there for us all. And while I'm at it, would you put me down for radio number 5 after Joe? I will be back. Thank you.
All right. I feel like may I take your order, please? That's what OTR needs, is a drive-through window. I can just say, hey, what do you got? Doing good. Thanks for radio number 3. Stepping up from the green room into the air chair, Joe. Looking good. Looking good tonight. Take a transmission, Joe. Over.
Thanks there, Dennis. Doggone it, evening time to Chris there. Like that radio, Chris. I'll be down to pick it up. Dennis, I'd like to check in my Johnson Messenger, T00. 10 tubes, 10 channels, on a gray base D104.
Very good. I will get a stock picture of the Messenger 2. And then I will see if perhaps I can find one from one of the Facebook posts. We've got some really good stations posting pictures of their radio collections. The Johnson Messenger TWO, early 1960s through the mid 1960s. E.F. Johnson, as we mentioned, company founded by Edgar F. Good old Edgar F. Johnson and his wife Ethel. Edgar and Ethel, 1923. The company began as a mail order business, selling radio transmitting parts to amateurs. And then 50 years later, they got into the 11-meter Class D with some very nice radios that are also lasting into the 21st century. Take a transmission, sir. Over.
Well, that was a good deal, Dennis. Doggone it, they did kind of manufacture a nice radio, a good durable radio. Stout. It wasn't much on looks, I can tell you that now, but alone by itself, it's a good-looking radio. It has a little modulation light. It's flashing in the background. Indicators your channel selector and your lettered selector there that it has, plus your volume and your squelch. A little bit backward on the squelch, but not a bad radio. We're really enjoying this one. This one, I think we talked before about it being mobile and base. I think it might be mobile, but I'm not sure because it has that little extra plug-in on the back of it, besides the AC cord.
Okay, well, the extra plug-in, I think there was a tone call or a unit you plugged in that would create a tone to call or set out a tone to call another station. I believe that's what that plug is for. There were two versions. You are correct. There is a mobile version. It's at 1242-162. I'm sorry, a 242-162 and a 242-163. So you ordered whether you wanted the 12-volt version to run off your battery or the AC version. And both of them may have had that tone select. I was looking to see if I could find a picture of the tone call, and I see the rear view that's got that plug in it, but I believe that's what that was for. Sam's Photo Fax 5, page 48, might tell you more about it. And there's actually a schematic at oldtuberadio.com that may list something about this 10-tube radio from E.F. Johnson. And you said it correctly. It's not very fancy, but as we mentioned before, this was citizen band radio. It wasn't supposed to be fancy. There weren't a lot of S meters. Hey, what's my signal report? Let me tune off to the side. It wasn't that. It was, again, for base to mobile communications, simple and all that. But as we know, people started doing the wood cases. They started making mid-century modern looks, great colors, so that when you brought the radio home, the XYL would say, well, there's no reason you couldn't put that in the living room on the doily, right? It looks like some fine gear, fine electronic gear, like the color, the black and white console television or the RCA AM radio. So the manufacturers started getting smart and said, let's make these things look like they shouldn't be in the garage. And the rest is history. Back to you for transmission.
Well, doggone it, Dennis. I wouldn't have minded it at all to put this on top of a Zenith console or something in the living room. It would have gone. It would have gone with whatever I set it on. Okay, Dennis, I'm going to get on out of here. I got another one to check in here. I can smell her cooking a little bit, so she's telling me she's about ready.
Yeah, that's another thing that some of the listeners, if you've never done radio or if you've never done old tube radio, when you put up the Christmas tree, there's the lights and the festiveness, and then there's that smell of the Christmas tree. Well, same way with the tube radio. There's the lights and the festiveness, and then there's the smell of the old component parts warming up and the dust burning off the tube. So you just got to be there. Another reason to be an operator and check in on the old tube radio. Thanks for radio number 4 from E.F. Johnson, from Ethel and Edgar. We're glad they created that company in 1923. Looking good. And let's go over to... Let me see if there's any breakers. We've got Radio 5. Chris is stepping up into the air chair. Anybody else that would like to check in? All right, Chris, you are on for Radio 5. Over.
And we are here. And it is... this thing don't have bad swing for it. Anyway, Dennis, I would like to check in my Chris 23 Plus CB transceiver. This is a 23 channel, as we all know, and we are running this here with a handheld stock original microphone. Over.
Hey, good stuff. Do you ever get confused? Say you have to sign your name. I know you go out and sign autographs. Chris is a popular guy. He's been checking in for pretty much from day one. So when you go out to sign autographs, do you ever make the mistake and sign Chris 23 Plus?
No, but I've actually left off a letter before.
As maybe they do here in the KRIS 23 Plus. I wonder what the plus is about. It's sort of obvious what the 23 might be about. 23 channels, whatever. But the plus... And if you look at this radio, compared to the other Panasonic 2 chassis, it's actually missing. It's missing lights. It's still got the meter switch. It doesn't have a range boost, so, it's all in advertising. But that's not to downgrade what you're doing, because you sound great. Take a transmission on Radio 5.
All right, and it does have the audio light that blinks a bright red when I talk. And sometimes if I turn the volume up, believe it or not, Dennis, when you talk, you can make that light blink too.
Yeah, and some of the Robins did that. They say if you get enough audio coming in, and I don't know what the circuitry is. I don't know what kind of goes into or goes out to keep that light blinking. But as long as it's blinking, you know that it works. Good audio. I'm going to put take a transmission. Let me put the S meter up and see if it's moving at all. Over.
Okay, well, I hope you got it up. But yeah, this here's keying up. Let me see. It's keyed up about 4 watts, and hell, it's swinging up to about 8.
All right, not the dead unmodulated carrier of the general radio telephone, but certainly some good forward movement. That's an indication that your audio is doing a good thing. Let's see, what else can I do? I'm trying to keep myself busy. Because when the front office, you know, they look at the replay and it's like I'm just sitting there. So I want to be doing stuff so that they'll keep me on for another season. Take a transmission. We'll do the zero beat here.
All right, zero beat.
I guess you get the zero beat there, over.
Yeah, wow, 83.5. So not bad. I'm running a very wide receive filter, but if somebody was running a narrow audio, or they got the narrow selection on their Grundig Yacht Boy tuned into 27085, they might find that your audio just has a different sound, a little different timbre to it, if they tune down to 27084 or 27083.5, where your center frequency is. The FCC back in the day said, thou shalt be crystal controlled with 700 cycles either way. And were they to do their, you know, let's drive around in the van and give out $50 fines, they could say, well, you know, you're not quite on frequency. But here today, that is not the point. The point is that you're actually on the frequency at all and checking in, over.
So was I off frequency? I wasn't off frequency very much, was I?
No. We hear your channel 11 is channel 11. It's a little bit on the low side, but somebody would have to have a very, very narrow, tight receiver. And if they had it that narrow, you wouldn't sound good no matter what you did, but you sound great. Jim saying, what's he saying? Oh, it's a neon bulb tied to the modulation audio output transformer. All right. Well, that's your mod light. Looking at what's happening with the modulation transformer. So perhaps there is some voltage or something goes to that on receive. But there you go. So the louder you talk, the brighter it gets.
Yes, it does. There it's kind of dim. And hello, it's bright, 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 and it's flash, flash, flash.
Indeed. Radio number, did I write it down? Yeah, number 5. Chris is on the CHRIS is on the KRIS 23 plus Panasonic number 2 chassis. 11 tubes, as I think all of those chassis are. There is an operator's manual at oldtuberadio.com. I think you can click on the link and it'll come up. Let me try. I'm going to try that. Oh, it seems we can't find what you're looking for. Oh, then you have to go to another link, it looks like. All right. Well, I never try these things. I just go by faith that it might still work after 40 years, and I'm often wrong. But what we know is working is your radio and the Old Tube Radio Network with your 5-watt. Oh, and that one does go based on mobile. We talked about Joe's radio, where you may need 2 different styles of the radio, 2 different manufactured 12 volt. This one is built in, so there's 2 transistors in there somewhere. That's probably doing a DC to DC conversion, so that you can change the plug in the back and put that thing in the Buick.
Yeah, you'd have to go on my Ford because I don't have a Buick. We can put it in your Riviera, huh?
You could, and it won't go far, but you can put it in there. It'll look nice as it sits where it's sitting. Radio number 5, sounding good. Thanks for bringing it by.
All right, Dennis, thank you. This was it for me. I got all 3 of mine in, so I do thank you for being there. And one of these days, you're going to have to fire up that helicopter.
It is here. I did an audio check on it not long ago. It's got really decent audio. I think I got to replace the tube. I get to about 95% modulation, and you see the scope just do some really funky stuff. But it sounds good. Helicrafters, Bill Halligan and the gang, like an E.F. Johnson, these entrepreneurs, the pioneers of radio back in the 20s and 30s, hand wiring these things, working on the kitchen table, putting out a product to be proud of, so you can put your stamp on it and say, you know what, send it back. You don't like it, send it back. You're going to give it to somebody else, we'll give them the guarantee. And then where is that spirit these days? Thanks for that. The Jingle Singers are joining us next.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, Your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
It is the station for you. We are listening for radio number 6 and maybe counting and amounting. I want to give it a couple extra minutes here now that the frequency, the band, the channel is a bit quiet for those who may not have been able to check in through the noise to come in and say hello radio. And the fact that I was a bit tardy as we were getting the old tube, the old tired tube radio computer online and working. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
60.
And there is 60. Let me go back to the control room. I was busy making sure that I got one of our faithful shortwave listeners that has been around, again, one of those stations that's been around since we were around, Captain Robert, who knows of the honking proboscis of Bozo Control and all the antics that aforementioned clown, as it were, put upon the Tube Radio Network in fun, in good humor. And here we are again today. And Captain Robert is still joining us. That's what I like. People come by and, they drive through and it's like, wait a minute. Is it 1989 again? No, it is 2023, and you are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, radio number 6. Take a transmission, Joe.
Thank you much, there, Dennis. Boy, yeah, you're right about that. We've come a long ways since that date. And I wish for a fact that I would have had this radio back in the early 70s. Dennis, I'd like to check in from World Radio Labs, my Hustler Base.
World Radio Labs Hustler Base. I'm going to do the trickery that I think will put the photo up at oldtuberadio.net. Yeah, there it is. Perfect. And then what I will do, if I do it right, the trickery that will put that photo across the big screen, and then you will do the rest in giving us the audio from a 7-tube radio. We've had 13 tubes and 11 tubes and 10 tubes. Here's a 7-tube radio, I believe. This sounds pretty doggone good. It doesn't need any more tubes. Take a transmission.
It probably doesn't need any more tubes. But as small as they are, maybe combine them and make one great big one. I know you were talking about that Helicrafter. That's pretty radio. I have a shortwave Helicrafter here that I'm going to have Harvey look at one of these days. It has all the antenna, portable antenna in the back of it. Real pretty, real nice looking radio. But anyway, getting back to these 7 tubes here and 8 channels, we're on I got to look at it all the time, but it is a Turner Plus 3 desk mic, and we've got her cranked up about, almost noon.
I like that. Almost noon. You got me drinking some water. I'm excited about the radios tonight. I think I'm shouting. I will try to be calm and not fall off my chair as we check in the tube radios tonight. The Hustler from World Radio Labs, Leo Myerson. Another, here we go, another amateur radio operator, entrepreneur, electronics guy that put together radios and other things that jumped in. Says, we need some Class D stuff. We need that 5-watt radio. We can't all be making boat anchor stuff, so glad they did, and it sounds good. Listening in, also saying the Jungle Joe C. Video Gates, saying love the rigs. Yeah, I agree with that. We all love them. Sabotage UDX 666 saying hello from the left coast of Canada, listening in as the gray line shoots across the Pacific Ocean. Take a transmission. Over.
Oh boy, sounds like they're a little busy out there. That's good, and we love doing this. What we're doing right now, talking on this Hustler Base. Hey, this would look good under your Riviera dash, or maybe if you had an old Falcon, this one might look good under the ashtray.
Oh my gosh, I got an old Falcon, and it's got an ashtray, and it doesn't have a radio. Where the radio should be in the dashboard, and I kid you not, there's I'll call it an applique. There's a plastic panel with a Falcon on it. The radio, the car, remember when it says it comes with radio, heater, and white wall tires? They weren't kidding, because you could not get all those things. So my station wagon never had a radio. It's got the panel with the Falcon on it. You pull that out and there'll be a little hole in the metal dash to put the radio. But this, as you said, will look great under that. The Riviera had an 8-track tape player underneath, which is gone. I think I've got it, but it's not in the car. So this would be a very good replacement for the 8-track tape player over.
Oh, I'm sure it would. And doggone it, we had a Falcon radio for a lot of years, about a 61. I think it came out of a 61. And I'm not sure if it was an 8-track player or a cassette, but it could have been an 8-track player. Anyway, Dennis, doggone it, that brings a lot of memories back to that Falcon. My brother had one. He had the sedan model. And that Riviera has always been a dream car. I don't know what color yours is, but if it's anywhere like nighttime, oh boy, that's got to be a beautiful car. Anyway, Dennis, doggone it, thank you for letting me check this one in. And we've got another one we just might say hello on it.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll keep the chart handy. Jingle Singers have got a couple of more items up their proverbial musical sleeve. Radio number 6, Hustler, on the Hustler from WRL. World Radio Labs, also makers of Globe CB radios. SWL number 3 back in the day would check in half a dozen. I kid you not. He had a big stack of those things. He would check about a half a dozen of them and try and stack the deck. So when we read off the list, it would be a World Radio Labs Globe. Hello to San Pedro, or somewhere near it, listening in up in the balcony. The Old Tube Radio Network here, up the road to peace in Central California, doing what we do every Saturday with our friends on their tube radios, the shortwave listeners joining us from all over. Edmonton, Alberta also joining us tonight, listening to the great sounds of tube radio. Jingle Singers will be doing their thing, and then we'll be back with at least one other radio on your Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you from the Old Tube Radio Network. Listening.
60.
And you know what? Why did I do that? I put the tube radio list on the bottom when I knew that you would be radio number 7. Go ahead, over.
Thank you much, Dennis. We'd like to check in our messenger, R223. We're not sure if it's quite warmed up, but we'll give it a shot.
Oh, no, it is warmed up, as is mine, behind my left shoulder. Looks like the right shoulder on the video, but it is sitting there doing what it does best, which is, looking nice. But you are taking it one more notch, pressing the push-to-talk microphonium, and I know if it's a desk mic or the hand mic. If it's the original mic, it'll say Johnson on the push-to-talk bar. Go ahead.
Definitely the original mic, Dennis. It does say Johnson on it. Has the old Johnson trademark on it, and push-to-talk button says Johnson on it. And it has that little fin on top of the microphone. It kind of reminds me of a fish once in a while. But doggone it, Dennis, there's 23 channels here. Kind of a backward squelch situation. You have to go the other way if you want to kind of cut the squelch off. But it is dialed into channel 11.
That's a good thing. All 23 channels supplied with that radio when it got purchased, whoever purchased it. Bass only. There was no, as we talked about with the TWO, where you would specify, I need one for the mobile and one for the bass. They would have to get out two separate boxes. Look at the numbers. And I'll let you know this one is the mobile, this one is the bass. Not so with this radio because it would only go bass. If you want to do mobile, you'd have to do some trickery with some conversion thing going on, but made to be a bass. The Messenger 2, your radio moments ago, it's in there. It's in this box, probably turned around sideways, bigger speaker. They added 23 channels on the S meter, but pretty much, and some other things, but pretty much the same radio on the inside made for a bass and very nice design. Very functional. Looks like it could fall off the table and maybe still work. I don't know.
You could. That probably would happen. It probably would still work. And in other situations, if you had no more use for it, you could make a rabbit cage out of it. Maybe a bird cage. I like it. It's all perforated with holes all the way around. Anyway, Dennis, doggone it, I sure appreciate you letting me check this one in. This will do me for this evening, and we'll put these 10 tubes, 23 channels to rest.
All right, not a problem. Johnson Messenger 223, Edgar and Ethel, did they know in 1923? There's a schematic at old2radio.com if you can find it. I probably can. CB23 is the PhotoFax book number on page 63. 1969 to 1972. So it took him a while to actually get this bass radio. And E.F. Johnson at that time was already starting to work with solid-state mobile radios, solid-state bass radios. But that was a good run. Very popular radio. Also, they sold a likeness to the Sears Roebuck Company in their catalog. I'm not sure what the price was. $200, you could buy it without the microphone. If you got it with a neat Johnson microphonium at about $215. Calculate that in 1970 money. We talked about that before. What was that? That was the price of a nice black and white 19-inch console television, no doubt. But you know what? You probably wouldn't have as much fun. Get the E.F. Johnson. Thanks for Radio 7.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to do, the Jingle Singers are just, they had a good run this week. They had a lot of nice things going on. Jingle Singers will do what they do, and then we'll be back with the radio, I suspect. Radio number 8, and maybe even number 9, the Old 2 Radio Network.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
In wonderful Fresno, California. Did somebody, where's Cornbread? Did somebody say Fresno? I think they did. And I have a feeling that the Radio Fresno guy is somewhere at the microphone. OTR listening.
I don't know about that.
Well, there you go. I have a, before we close down for the evening, I have a Radio 8 spot for you. Over.
Roger. Or Dennis. Okay, this is a Browning 23S9 transmitter, R2700 receiver, with an unamplified D104 microphone. This is my radio, but not much longer. It'll be gone as soon as the person says, send it my way.
Send it my way. All right, an early iteration of the Browning Laboratories radio. I'll put the transmitter up, because this is not, we're talking about plain Jane radios, and here it is. This is just a transmitter. It's a knob, a couple of dials, a switch, a light, got a meter. Definitely has all 23 channels, because it's the 23S9, so this was probably a little bit more money. Getting all those items in there. 1961 to 1962, our earliest radio tonight, or our earliest manufactured radio, the Tram, was it about 1963? They were built with two different styles of channel selectors. So the one we're showing is a very extended, I think they call it a chicken head. It's a very extended looking knob. Not sure what you've got, over.
Well, this one has a small channel selector, smaller knob, and it's got the aluminum dial that's kind of stuck on there, and in black with the silver numbers on it. The receiver, the R2700, two chassis bolted together to get this receiver going. And unamped D104 right now. I don't know what he's going to put on it, but I suggest an unamped microphone, as I think it just does not need anything more. Anyway, this one sounds good on receive, and hopefully it sounds good on transmit. Back to you.
Yeah, it sounds good. You're pegging the Orban loudness meter. You're up at -11. I have it set so that a loud radio would put it up to maybe -14, and the average would be down at -20, which is where I'm at. And you're at -11. I know numbers are relative, but believe me, on the loudness control, because of the powerful modulation, and it's a Browning, so there ain't no low frequencies going on. It's all the nice, crispy, as Bob Heil would say, the articulation going on. And you said you were on a non-amplified microphone. Yeah, an amplified microphone would be wasted because you'd have to turn it all the way down. And it's very bright. I think that's the word. Where's the audio guys listening in? It's a very bright sound, so you could get away with a microphone that accentuates low frequencies, and that would roll it off like a Shure 444. But boy, if you want to punch through, which you are, you want to punch through the noise in the DX, it is ready to go. And yeah, I think your idea of keep the amplification out of the audio circuit, don't need it. Back to you.
Roger. Yeah, I'm really happy with this, how this turned out. When I picked it up, it wasn't working, and it's working now. The cabinet, instead of being painted brown or a flat gold color on both transmitter and receiver. So when he gets it, he does what he wants with it as far as painting. Anyway, I've got one more to check in, and then I'll be done for tonight. I don't know if I'll still have this next week, but hopefully not, but he's just got to let me know. Alrighty, we'll turn it back to you, and I'll go to the other one.
All right, the Harvey range boost is liking it, no buzzing or anything. I went, and this rarely happens on the old Tube Radio Network. I went to the 0 beat function, and I had to look. I had to check my finger to make sure that I pressed it, because there was no change whatsoever. I mean, even the audio is so loud, it didn't even sound like it was on sideband. And then I went from upper to lower sideband, and there was no change. That radio can't be any closer to being on frequency, if ever there was an on frequency. Over.
Roger. I'm on the Golden Beagle right now. R68T68. Yeah, I was able to tune the transmitter fairly close, and you said apparently I did okay.
No, it is dead on. And another way to check is I'll go to upper and lower sideband, and it's the same sound. It's almost the same sound from when I go to AM to sideband. And so, very interesting. That is, you're crystal controlled, right? You're not on a VFO on that radio.
No, I'm not. It's just 22-channel crystals on transmit. The receiver is the 23-channel vernier tuner, and it does have several positions for a fixed crystal for receive, and I happen to have a channel 6 crystal because I think he's going to want to do some skip shooting, so I stuck that in there for a fixed channel, so he's got a fixed channel 6 receive crystal. I didn't put 11 in there. Anyway, I'm on the Beagle R68T68 by Browning Laboratories with the custom D104 unamplified with the medallion on the back. The other radio, the 23S9, didn't have the medallion on the back of the head, but it was still an unamped with a straight cord. I believe it's got the original D104 element in it, as does, well, this one doesn't. This, I think, is the second element in this one. Okay, that should do it for me, and I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
All right, well, thanks for jumping in. As always, thanks for your help on keeping the radios up and running. Harvey on his radio, that's the one that sits in his radio control area. Let me go back to the photo. The R68T68, the first Eagle, or the first Browning to be called the Golden Eagle. The first Eagle was the 23 R27 S23, the smaller, it was a smaller, it was the same size, right? Small transmitter, larger receive. But this had the Browning Golden Eagle. It had the eagle flying across the speaker. And I don't know, it's got about a 12-month, 18-month run in 66, 67. When all things were breaking loose. CB is getting a lot more popular. I think we're kind of in between the solar cycles. You had Sonar and Tram and Regency and Courier. You had a lot of the big companies that still were making a profit in competition. So a lot of competition. The overseas imports were not happening just yet. The Yaesu, the FT101s, and those weren't on the market just yet. And so it's heyday for sure for this radio. Sounds good. Listening in, who joined us? 87.9 Archives and Oddities. Well, I'm glad you got the evening off, or is it the morning? Anyway, a little time off to join the Old Tube Radio Network live. You know what they say in CB radio? I am waving a hand to you. All right. Everybody says that. Do they really do it? Yeah, they do it. I'm waving a hand. I'm waving all of it, my hand. Glad you could join us, because we do have the replay. We got an audio and a video replay, but it's nice joining live when the radios come in. Good stuff. Thanks, Harvey. Radio 9 is sounding good. You sound like it's been a busy week, so I hope you have a couple of days off anyway.
Roger. I do. Well, I've got tomorrow off. Harvey the Rabbit has Bunny Day off, and then I go back to work. Yeah, I'm back on the R2700 23S9. Why? Because I can. And I want him to hopefully listen to it if he's still listening to the stream. Okay. We'll turn it back to you, and hopefully next week I might have something else. I don't know. You never know what I'll trip over in the radio room.
All right, and hopefully it'd be one of those trips like, was it Dick Van Dyke? Where he catches himself at the end as he trips over the piece of furniture. Really loud, and yeah, for sure you don't want to put an amplified mic on that. And in fact, whatever mic you put on it, you probably want to be sure that your room isn't noisy. That just got, what do they say, days of audio. The Jingle Singer's coming up. It is Gosh, 10:30 here on the West Coast. It is Easter morning just about everywhere else. So let me see if we can get the Jingle Singers to sign us out of here, and everyone can go back to what they should be doing. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
Counting and amounting, back in a moment. All right, I am back. Let's put the video up. Let's get rid of the photo. Yeah, all right. I think I can put. We want to do the S meter, and we'll do the. See, the F, when I'm on, the S meter is just kind of. There's no reason to have it. It's just not set up and calibrated like. But this is a little bit better for talkie net control guy. Oh, and if I didn't say so, let me go to the other page. Mr. Cobra came in, and I don't know if I did officially check you in because I knew you'd be by, but I wanted you to see you get the X in the square, SWL, lucky, number 13. Been with us a long time. All right, here we go. 9 radios tonight. The most heard manufacturer. Well, it was turning into like an all-way tie. And then we had the 2 Brownings at the end, so Browning Laboratories. But we had a good run, a good item of interest. Radio number 1, Tram TR27 Echo. That was Cliff, Green Arrow, sounding pretty good. Nice audio on that. I'd like to hear that. And plus, the radio of choice for the Old Tube Radio Network Easter Bunny. Listen to the replay. Bunny needs some vitamins, methinks. Chris came in, double play, the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A for Radio 2 and Radio 3, the Gem Marine G Power Mate. Mr. Hustler Joe out there, always putting in a good signal into the Old Tube Radio Network, who brought his E.F. Johnson Messenger TWO. Oh, and I misspoke. We have a tie between the Johnsons, the E.F. Johnsons. Sorry, Ethel. Sorry, Edgar. We have a tie between the Johnsons and the Brownings. The first E.F. Johnson was the Messenger TW. How could I forget? Radio number 4. Radio number 5, Chris came back with the Chris 23 Plus. Joe followed that with his Hustler World Radio Labs, Radio 6. Put the E.F. Johnsons in first place at 10:15 with the Messenger 223. Then Harvey, as you heard moments ago, on the 23S9R 2700A from 1961-62. What was that the year? What was the year Beverly Hillbillies started? I think it was 1962 or 63. Jackie Gleason on the air. Jack Benny probably still on the air. Red Skelton on the air. On television, that new thing called television. And CB Radio. Still making strides. Radio number 9, the R68 T68 Browning Golden Beagle. Sounding good and looking good on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Dennis here, your net control operator for this session of the Old Tube Radio Network. Heard most Saturday evenings beginning at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Channel 11 here in the Central Valley of California. Maybe heard elsewhere if the skip is running. Heard everywhere on your Universal Media Net web at oldtuberadio.net and that video thing that goes on so we can put pictures of the radios if you've never seen them before. But a lot of you have them. Let's see, we didn't get a chance to check in with Jimmy. We'll try it again. The satellite link is up and running. I'd like to hear what he runs on 11 meters. We'll actually hear his radio.
Good night, Dennis. K6USY.
And the crossband, our stations that join us on various frequencies and various modes to say hello radio when it might be busy. 73 all from your Old Tube Radio Network. I made it to the air chair. The computer didn't crash, and I'm going to the green room to have some more tasty items of interest. Good night, everybody.
night, Dennis, and thanks.
Good night, Dennis. That was a good show. I was going to try to check in my radio. It's just a one-tuber, though, but I don't know. I don't think it qualifies.
The one-tuber, is it one big tube?
The 3 CPX 1500 A7, I believe.
Well, that would certainly put out some sparks.
Yeah, but, I couldn't get it inside of the radio, so I had to put it in another box, and I don't know. I don't think it qualifies.
Yeah, we actually used to have a panel that would say, if somebody wants to check in this radio, does it actually qualify? Is a hybrid qualify? Does that? I mean, we would stress over these things because we wanted to make sure that everybody. So, I don't know. We probably have to put it before the panel again.
Yeah, I know. Back in the 80s, I got disqualified. I think before I had a SWL number. I went to check in my Yaesu 101B or D or whatever I had, and I got disqualified, and I was pretty upset. And I said, but I got 10 other tubes behind it. I just could not get qualified to get in there, so I was pretty upset.
Well, you should be. Now, remember, that was over 30 years ago, so the radio was still fairly new, even was old. Now we check in the hybrid radios, and that's what we did, the hybrid radios. And I'll say again, and there was a reason to that. A hybrid radio is a transceiver that has a tube final, a PA, if you will, and a solid-state receiver all in the same box, the transceiver. So, indeed, we are hearing the tube transmitter, but it's housed with those transistors. And so the powers that be at the time said, if you have a separate transmitter, let's say you take, like Harvey, the 23S9, and that's your transmitter in a separate box, but you put it with a solid-state radio, you could check it in, because while you're checking in the transmitter, it's a 23S9, it's all self-contained, and it's all tubes. And your receiver, which is solid-state, as the one in the Yaesu 101 would be, isn't in the same box. Now, whether that makes sense to anybody, and it sort of does, but that was the rationale back then. Nothing against the operator, nothing against the radio, because as we know, that was a classic. That's a screamer on AM, and it's running tubes, and we're hearing the tubes. But doggone it, they just happen to be in the same box. Over.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to disqualify myself for tonight. It's okay. But yeah, I back in the day, I did try to check in the 101, and I thought, man, this thing's got tubes in it, but I didn't understand it, back then. But now I do. It was a fairly new radio back then, I guess.
I think a lot of these were. Some of them, the 1977 radios were 10 years old. Just coming up on 10 years old, so how about that? But they were old tube radios, because you could still get new solid-state stuff. There's people voting for you, saying, bring him back. It's have him bring it back, and we'll check it in. So you have a standing ticket to come back anytime with whatever radios may or may not have been acceptable at the date, and come back, and we will put them on the list. Very good. All right, 73, everybody, your old tube radio network, saying get on the air wherever it is, whatever radio you have, whatever band you have, whatever frequency you want, and have a good time on two-way radio, because you will never get a bill at the end of the month for a conversation. Good night, everybody.
All right, good night, Dennis. Have a good one, and my antenna is up in the air again. 7-3.
Yeah, good signal.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah, go ahead. I think it's Harvey.
So you're telling us you were able to get it up?
Yes, Harvey. Man, they got all this kinds of pills and stuff nowadays, and yeah, I got it up finally. I got it up.
Well, from what I understand, some guys use these 10, 12 pill things, and they really get it up.
I know. I got these towers laying down, and I'm going to hook up my 10-pill drive-in 24-pill and see if I can make that tower just erected. So.
Yeah, I figured you would erect one.
I almost wrecked it. The forklift, oh man, the forklift, I kind of went forward instead of backwards, and was gonna wreck it. But no, she's standing up. It's all good unless I burn up the Antron. I don't know. I shouldn't. As long as I keep it under, I think 2,500 watts, I'll be okay.
I would be happy with 1 watt. I'm getting old. Okay, take care, Ron.
All right, Harvey, you have a good one, and yeah, I'm gonna have to try out the Eagle. I thought my Eagle was having problems, but I'm thinking it may have been the other antenna, so we will try that out maybe next week.
Roger. Let me know.
The capacity. Those were load range E's right from the factory. I was surprised. When the flagstaff, it also had Chinese tires on it. They almost all.
Where are you going?
ATR, Springfield, Ohio. And I'm in QSO with KI5. Zebra Uniform Tango down there in Katy, Texas.
Very good. Yeah, it's 40 meters up on the SDR earlier. Quite a bit of traffic tonight.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could hear any of the Georgia QSO party. One of our stations was running that today, but the band is probably not quite long enough, at least on 40 meters, so I'll definitely hear them tomorrow on 20.
Very good. Okay. I'm gonna go horizontal. K6USY.
And likewise, no doubt you got a busy day tomorrow. All right, catch you later, and we're shutting down the Rady Typo KB6GF.